Okay, we're back. The reed is dry. I've got all the thread on the reed. Usually what I do at this point then is trim the wires just for a little bit more. We don't need too much wire out. Trim that down. And then I usually take the file. It's very sharp. And so I kind of take a little of the edge off just so you don't poke yourself. Then I fold them down so they're out of the way, and I fold this one up. Fold that one down. And now we're ready to finish the profile of the reed. I'm going to give it just a little dip for a second. At this point, your reed probably won't make any sound yet. You can blow through it. You're just going to get air because the aperture is pretty wide open. So I'm going to now put the plaque in. The plaque helps you protect the blades of the reed while you're pressing on it with the knife. So I have a medium-sized plaque. There's bigger plaques and smaller plaques, but this fits this one pretty nicely. So now you can see there's also a little bit of glue on the reed from when we put the thread and glue on. So I'm going to just start kind of taking stuff off. Kind of an overall, get the glue off first. You can see if you put the plaque in, it helps you to see which side of the reed needs a little bit more shaving. This side is a lot thicker than the other side. So I'm going to start over here and kind of shave down on this side. As symmetrical as you can make the reed is very helpful. You can keep checking your progress with, you can stick the plaque out just a little bit and see. I'm not sure if we're getting that, but sometimes I'm going to get one more tool out, my little pen knife. Sometimes there'll be just a little ridge of cane here that isn't on the other side, or maybe on both sides. And this blade is so thin you can get right down in there and peel it out easier than with a reed knife. So that's what I'm going to do. Get some of that out so I can get a little bit more symmetrical. Give it a little dip. Now, you don't want to press very hard. If you have your finger behind the reed, you can press a certain amount. But if you're working on the right side, maybe it's the opposite if you're left-handed, you kind of need to be right here on the edge. You can't put your finger there and hold it at the same time. So just don't press very hard. So you're not putting enough pressure on the blades to break it. And also if your reed knife is really sharp, you won't have to press very hard. So when I work on the side over here, then I can put my finger back out and hold it with these. It's kind of awkward to hold. So let me just show you what I'm doing. I'm holding the bottom of the reed with these fingers and then supporting it with this finger. So remind you about the profile. We're going to have it slightly thicker down here, and as we go up toward the tip, it's going to get thinner and thinner and thinner. It's not a big difference, but it's just a gradual thicker down here and thinner up here. So as you get to the tip, you want to make sure, and you can see that this side of the tip is thicker than this side of the tip. Is that coming through okay? And then, so maybe I'll work on that for a while, just to get the tips the same, sides of the tip the same. And as you do this work, you'll find that the reed will come together a little bit better, and you will be able to get a crow out of it in a little while. I just keep checking my progress. That's already looking better. Once you get the profile the way you want it, that's getting better. Then you can kind of make an even scrape. It's quite a bit thicker down at the base. This area down here, the heart. Usually in bassoon reeds, there's kind of an area like this that's thicker on both sides. And we don't really have that so much. It's mostly an even scrape with it getting slightly thinner toward the tip. So if you keep that profile in mind as you're making all your cuts, you won't go too far. The original reed that we think is associated with this Krummhorn, that we think may have been one of its reeds, has a very even scrape, and it's shaped like this. So that's how we know a lot about it. I think I need to take more out down here. If it's too thick of a reed, you can't get it to crow at all. So let's see if I can get it soaked a little bit. You can see the aperture, the distance between the two blades. The aperture is a little bit open. I'm going to try just with my finger and thumb pressing it closed a little bit. I'm kind of squeezing it. See, I closed the aperture just a little bit. When you do that, and you can also see a good test of a reed, if you put your finger and thumb right on the bottom of the reed and press slowly. This part over here is closing last. So you can tell that's going to be the part that needs to be scraped because it's a little bit thicker. And I'm thinking this side over here. So let me go over there and see what's going on. Take some from back here. Maybe some over here too. So if you look at the sides, you can see it's kind of thin right there and it's a little bit thicker here. So I'm going to work on that for a minute. Pull that down. See what happens. It also kind of has a memory. The cane remembers where it was, and it doesn't really want to do what you want it to do, right off the bat. You have to kind of manipulate it, kind of press on it, see if you can get it wet again. See if you can get it to behave. It's still closing lastly over here, but it's a little bit better. Getting better. And the tip generally is just a little bit too thick, I think. So I'm going to take some of the tip down. Closing a little easier. You can feel by how much pressure you have to put whether that's going to want to be too hard to play. This corner over here is still a little bit thick. Sometimes you can go a little bit across the grain like this. If you have a place like right now, the very edge here is kind of thin, but it's thicker right here. So in order to get that without doing the other, sometimes you can kind of see how it's mostly coming off just from the tip and I'm not getting any more on there. You can change your angle. You can go like that too. You can also use a little sandpaper, but I really like using the knife blade as much as I can, since you already have it in your hand. And it does make the most even cut. In fact, I find myself going crosswise like this a lot of the times when I'm working on the tip. Looking better. It's closing. You can see just a little bit that it's not closing on the side. The better you can get that aperture to close, the better the reed's going to be. But I think, let me see if I can get it to crow. I think we'll stop right there for a second.